I'm reminded of what history has taught us when we do not act in circumstances such as this. And so I think that, in essence, that's what the resolution called for. If they give it up in this way, we will have accomplished, to a large degree, in a better sense, because you can't deliver chemical weapons that you don't have access to anymore. I think that's a positive thing. Now, you can continue to go ahead against Assad in war crimes, which I certainly think that we should, through the United Nations, pursue Assad in terms as a war crime criminal, which I believe he is for what he's done to his citizens.
But here's the problem for the American people. I don't think anybody doubts that Assad is probably a war criminal, has done these horrific things to civilians. But on the other side, we've seen priests beheaded by the Islamic rebels on the other side. We've also seen an Islamic rebel eating the heart of a soldier. So it's not like there's no atrocity going on the other side, and Al-Qaeda is on the other side. I can't conceive of how we would go in and be allies with Al-Qaeda.
Well, let's.
I don't suggest that we're going to be allies with Al-Qaeda. There are vetted elements of the Syrian opposition that we believe which largely share, would share our values. But at the end of the day, if you just sit back and say, you know what, there's no consequences to the use of chemical weapons, go kill another 1,400, go kill another 14,000. At what point does the consequences of those actions not only send a message in Syria, but globally? We want the Ayatollah in Iran to heed our message. Do not cross that line towards towards nuclear weapons. We want the dictator of North Korea to understand, do not cross a line as well. This is, I think, even beyond Assad. And if we can get the United Nations quickly to go ahead and intervene and actually obtain all of these chemical weapons, secure them and destroy them, then I think we will have made a very good statement.
Here's the point I would make. And even if we talk about indirect threats to American interests or national security, threat to Israel, I ask the question, more or less likely that Israel gets attacked if we bomb Assad? I think more likely.
Yeah.
If you look at the, let me finish. If you look at the refugee question in Jordan, it is destabilizing to Jordan. More or less likely there'll be more refugees or less refugees if we bomb Assad. I think more likely there's more. And one more, Turkey. More likely that our NATO ally gets attacked or not attacked.
Well, it's
all
curious
of these things
then.
are more likely.
I think it's more likely that the Ayatollah in Iran says, you know what? All this bluster about me not getting nuclear weapons, that's an existential threat for the state of Israel. And for us, forget about Israel for the moment, for us in that region to let Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and others say, well, if Iran has nuclear weapons, we have to have nuclear weapons too, in a tinderbox in the world. That's not in our national security. I would agree with you to only a certain extent. That's why, and this is an argument for why the president shouldn't willy-nilly be drawing red lines, and I hope he's learned his lesson. The more red lines you draw and the more you let people go beyond it, the less your credibility is. The president has lost face, he's lost credibility, but the United States has a great and ferocious ability to defend ourselves. And you saw it after 9/11. And I don't think anybody questions what will happen if we are ever attacked or our interests are attacked. So I don't think there is all of a sudden American credibility go out the window. The president's credibility is on the line, but American credibility is that red line is an international red line. It's not just that we said the use of chemical weapons.
And you said you were for the Chemical Weapons Ban Treaty.
The Syria Accountability Act that the Senate and the Congress passed talked about this as a consequence if Syria pursued and actually used chemical weapons. And in addition to that, I think that when we talk about Iran, that is a national security concern of the United States, not only because of our ally Israel, but because of the consequences in that entire region of a nuclear-armed Iran. And so I don't think it's about the president losing face. It's about whether or not the United States has the credibility in the world to ultimately back up what it says it intends to do, and hopefully never have to pull the trigger as a result of having that seriousness of purpose.
Let me ask you.
Do you think that the United States should be a party to the Chemical Weapons Ban Treaty?
Yes, and I think one of the problems we've had, and Senator Menendez talked about this, we've had all these votes in the Security Council. To me, I consider them to be show votes. We sort of know in advance. Russia's going to vote no and China's going to vote no.
So how would you enforce it?
Well, no, what I would say is instead, and we do this in Congress sometimes too, Republicans and Democrats, we do a show vote on our side, we lose, then they have the show vote on their side and they lose, and nothing ever happens.
I'm familiar with that.
Instead of trying to figure out the areas where we agree and vote on those things, we have two show votes and then we're done with the issue and nothing gets accomplished. Security Council is somewhat the same. So what I would say in the Security Council is, and in general, we need more dialogue with the Russians, more dialogues with China. I think, for example, the answer to